don't worry about anything, but pray over everything. Ask God for what you need, and pray or thank God for everything that He's done. Greetings, everyone. I am Amyre Alford, a junior majoring in public relations at the Bethune-Cookman University, and I am very honored to be one of your hosts for today's presentation.
Good morning, everybody. How are you doing today?
Good.
You cannot become what you want by remaining what you are. Greetings. My name is Degruy, a junior majoring in mass communications with the emphasis in public relations, and I will be your second host for today's seminar.
All right, so this presentation is basically designated to educate you all on how to protect yourselves from scams. Because as technology advances, scammers are finding different, new, intricate ways to try to trick you guys into trying to take your money. And I like my money. Y'all like your money?
Okay.
Okay.
What little there is.
Okay, don't say that. But yes, we are here to encourage confidence in navigating suspicious situations. So thank you. So yeah.
All right. Our purpose for the presentation today is to increase awareness among older age groups, because y'all are most commonly able to experience being scammed, whether that are scam phone calls, emails, or text messages. We want to help you guys be able to identify and protect yourself from these kind of scams, because scammers nowadays, with the rise of AI or artificial intelligence, they are starting to use that to try to scam you out of money or your information and just do bad things under your name.
So what exactly is scamming? Does anybody have a good idea? Anybody want to see? Let's see how. Anybody?
Sure.
Anybody?
Cheating.
Cheating. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cheating.
Embezzling.
Okay. Okay.
I had was with my brother back here last week, and he was on the phone with someone trying to scam him. And they kept telling him that he had won $2 million. But he had to go to Walmart and he had to get this what you call it, card?
Wire transfer, probably.
Yeah, that's what it is, and you don't get your money back. Amazon card. So he can get Amazon card, or he can get some kind of American Express card. And he told me, he said, now when you get into the parking lot, of course I had to go to Walgreens anyway because I had to pick up some vitamins. And he said, when you get in the parking lot, he says, let me know. He said, my brother had cut him off one time, and he called right back. And he said, why you cut me off? He said, because I'm trying to call my sister to see if she has any money I can borrow from her. And so, got in the Walgreens parking lot. He said, well, I'm here at Walgreens parking lot. But he ended up hanging up the phone from, because I told him that wasn't a scam. I said, we're going to give you $2 million and you didn't do anything for it.
Exactly. That was a great. Thank you. Thank you for that. Because yes, that's exactly what that is.
That's one of the main ways these scammers are used to try to target individuals through phone calls and rewards, types of things like that.
Yeah, because those cards that you purchased, you can't get your money back from them. Because they're going to want to get the card number. And once they get the card number, they've already got the money. And most scammers, they're not here in the United States. They cross the border.
So yes, scamming is when someone uses deceit or manipulation to try to steal your money or sensitive information from you guys. Scammers also often like to prey on your trust. So they try to pretend they're like a government organization, or some common things are they pretend to be your family members, your loved ones, to take your money. Yeah.
So the most common common types of scams targeting senior citizens are phishing emails, which would be like fake messages or emails like, hey, you won, like you said, you won this amount of money, sign up here to redeem your reward, or like you won a new iPhone, like the most common ones. New iPhone coming out, you won an iPhone with a charger and some AirPods, and you've never applied for it. Another one are like fake investments, you know, promising high returns, but stealing money. You give me $200 and I'll exchange it for $200,000, types of things like that. They often try to use fake phone calls, like artificial intelligence nowadays. They can try to use like your grandchild's voice or your child's voice. Hey mom, I'm in trouble. I need $50,000 to get me out.
Right now.
I'm in jail right now. I need $50,000 for bail. But whole time it's somebody on the other line using types of text with artificial intelligence to try to steal your money. They often use insurance fraud, you know, using fake policies. You've been hurt, sign up here to redeem a reward. If you use this medication or you've experienced this in your life before, apply now and we can get you a reward for it. So we just want to help you stay vigilant and alert to these types of scams, because with artificial intelligence, they're getting more and more complicated, more and more believable, types of things like that.
Well, that's something that I don't do. I don't use my email. The only people that have my email, and that's Social Security people like that. Other than that, when people ask me, I say, oh, I don't know what it is. So therefore, I don't have to give it to you. And that's just it.
And
That's great.
that's actually great.
And when I get calls, like I get about 12, 20 calls a day. If you're not in my phone, listed in my phone, I don't answer.
That's exactly.
That's a great way to prevent a scam as well. Because a lot of times when you sign up for things through websites, they will ask for an email with them, like, oh, do you accept cookies? Do you accept this and that that comes with the email? And a lot of times it'll just be spam, or it'll get distributed out to a third party, which is where the scammers come in. And now they have access to your email as well. So it would be, it's smart to not answer the phone for an unrecognized phone number, answer any emails that don't seem familiar, and just ignore all the spam and all that.
Yeah, because I feel like if I'm that important, you leave a message.
I know, that's.
Yep.
So, we also have tech support and IRS tax scams. This is a big one as well. So, this is basically, or how can I say? Tech support scams often involve fake calls, once again, pop-up or claims, like your computer is at risk, like viruses, try to prevent viruses with your computer as well. And IRS tax scams really enjoy using scare tactics. Tries to make everything urgent. And that's one of the big things. Just slow down. Just slow down whenever you see something scary. Just take a minute, calm down, because they love to use fear tactics and urgency.
They use the fear tactics and the urgency because a lot of the times they don't like to give the caller enough time to be able to recognize that it's fake. So you need to send me the money now if you want to get your so-and-so out of jail, or if you're in trouble with the IRS, send the money now to here. Don't hang up the phone, because they want the money ASAP. They don't want you to stop and Google and figure out if it's real or if it's fake, because then they're at a loss for money. Another thing, to avoid being scammed by the IRS tax scams, the IRS does not contact taxpayers by phone, email, or text message. So if you get a phone call or an email or a text about anything dealing with the IRS, it's not them. So just disregard all of that.
This is exactly what we were talking about before. Prize scams. Claim your prize, you won $2 million. Did you know?
Did you?
No.
Did you do a scratch ticket?
Yeah. Like, oh, you won bingo. You won bingo. Were you going to go out today? You gotta go out another day, but some things to think about, right? What else? Charity scams pretend to collect donations for disasters, or they really try to prey on your innocence.
Yes, and your empathy. They want you to feel bad, because if you feel bad, you're more inclined to send them money for what they need for help. So, like a hurricane, if a hurricane were to come again, this happened in Volusia County, we need this to help for now. What do you mean? I don't know anything about that. They're just preying on my heart. I got a good heart. Of course I'm gonna try to send some money to help my community, but a lot of the times it's fake. So it'd be wiser to contact an organization such as Council of Aging. Hey, do you guys need any prepackaged meals for the hurricane? You know, things like that.
And the last one, same thing. This one, like we said, because technology is constantly growing, AI, they can impersonate your loved ones, your sons, your daughters, your grandchildren. They can impersonate them, and it's always urgent financial help.
And they will usually call from a fake number, or they'll have the technology so you can call under their number. But it won't sound exactly like them, but it can sound like whoever, like your grandchild or your child. And with the rise of artificial intelligence, now they're talking about they might be able to FaceTime phone calls. So that's another thing to look out for. If it doesn't look all the way right in the face, if something's off, don't believe them, don't send any money, don't give anybody your email, social, any of that.
Alright, so then here's Anthony to talk about how he got scammed, and he just wants to help you guys just understand what he went through.
Out of my wife and my retirement savings, gone.
He fell victim to an old scam with a very new twist. Crooks using artificial intelligence to rip people off. Welcome back, I'm Mark Brown.
I'm Johanna Lana. You're watching Eyewitness News at 5, live on ABC7, Hulu, and wherever you stream. We often report on phone scams that con artists use to get at your money. Now they're taking advantage of AI to make their scams even more believable.
Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda explains how it works and what you can do to avoid becoming a victim in this 7 on Your Side investigation.
I look like a fool, I feel like a fool, but I don't care. I want to help everybody that I can possibly help.
Anthony, who doesn't want to give his last name, says that's how he feels after he was scammed out of $25,000. It all started when he got a phone call that he believed was from his son.
Dad, I had a horrible accident. I ran into a woman who was pregnant, carrying a child inside of her. She was rushed to the ICU.
He says after a short conversation, he hangs up and gets another call from someone who says his name is Michael Roberts and he's a lawyer. He then tells Anthony he needs $9,200 for his son's bail.
He said, you need to get $9,200 as fast as you can if you want your son out of jail. Otherwise, he's in for 45 days.
Anthony says he did try to call his son back, verify all of this, but the call went to voicemail, so he assumed it's because he really was in jail. So Anthony rushes to the bank to get the money. He says to avoid suspicion or any holdups, he tells the bank it's for a solar panel installation, and they approve it. He then gets home and asks his daughter to call the person identified as Michael Roberts.
We've got the money. What do we do now? He said, don't worry, someone will be at the house. It'll be an Uber car any minute. And with that, there's an Uber car.
This surveillance video shows as his daughter takes the money out in a manila envelope. They check the license plate and the driver to make sure it is a legitimate Uber driver. She hands over the money and the driver again. This time a different man who says his name is Mark Cohen and he's another attorney involved in the case. He says the pregnant woman died.
The bail has been raised, Mark. Cohen says another $15,800 to $25,000.
So they repeat everything again, getting more money out of the bank and giving it to yet another Uber driver who picks up the second package. Anthony says as things calm down, searching the internet and doing research, and his daughter tells him the bad news.
And says, Dad, I hope I'm wrong. I think you have just been scammed out of $25,000. Never even crossed my mind.
Police say this type of scam is not new. Variations on it have been around for years. But they say now using new technology, those calls or notifications can appear more realistic than ever.
The scammers are just more clever and sophisticated. They are using social media and technology to craft these very believable and convincing stories, and people really do believe they're talking to a grandchild or a government official.
In this case, Anthony says when he first picked up the phone, it sounded exactly like his son.
It was his voice. It was absolutely his voice, Carlos. There was no doubt about it.
Police say that is a new twist. Artificial intelligence, AI, can be used to impersonate someone's voice, and it sounds just like the real thing.
They call, and I know when you answer and it's a scammer, there's silence, and they want you to say hello or anybody there. All they need is 3 seconds of your voice to input it into AI and clone it.
And thieves can also use your social media accounts to get information about you.
They'll go through your video posts, and if you or a loved one are speaking, they can grab your voice that way.
Detectives say they can't give out too much information about this case since it is an ongoing investigation. But they say usually in these cases, the drivers that are hired through Uber or Lyft are not typically involved in the scam. They're unaware they're even part of it. In this case, Anthony says the callers kept making it sound that there was a sense of urgency. They tried to keep him off balance.
They moved me so fast. I never had a chance to do a second call unless I were to say to them, hold it. I'm stopping this whole thing for a minute. I want to talk to my son. I don't care if he's in jail. He is. I want to talk to my son. You don't think that way. You don't.
Police say never send money to someone you don't know, even if they claim they're a government agency or financial institution. Those places will never call you and ask you to send money immediately.
But most recently, they've been asking victims to deposit money into crypto ATM machines or transfer money into crypto accounts. So if you receive a call and they're requesting you to do any of those things, that is an immediate red flag and is probably a scam.
Anthony says he feels embarrassed, but he hopes by telling his story, he can help others.
That's my message to everyone watching, to protect themselves and their own family. And that's why I'm doing it.
All right, so that was Anthony's story. He told about how they used AI to sound like his son, basically, to be able to get $25,000. Which was his whole retirement fund. So that was just an example of how to be more vigilant, what to look out for. You know, they try to use a sense of urgency. I need this money, somebody's going to jail. You know, like they lied and said the pregnant lady had passed. The whole time there was no pregnant lady. They just wanted the money.
So let's recognize some red flags. Let's basically like spot some of the warning signs. Right? So, first, are you expecting a call from anybody? Unknown number, anything like that. They often like to, like we said, calls, emails, requests for payments with gift cards as well. They always like to do urgency. And if they're asking for personal information, someone you don't know as well. That's something you also need to look out for.
And if they're asking for personal information in regards to getting like a payment transfer, they should already have that information. They would just be looking for like a confirmation. So they're asking for I need your social security card, I need your routing info, I need your email, first, last, middle name, mother's maiden name. It's not real. They're just trying to get your information and get into your bank accounts. It offers that it's like too good to be true. If you haven't recently been out somewhere into the sweepstakes, for, looking for a chance to win a prize or some money, and all of a sudden you're receiving an unknown phone call or email about this big old amount of money. I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but it's not real. It's just people trying to get into your account. You won. Won what? It's November. What did I win? It's cold.
But see, the thing is about it is that the elderly people, their minds don't think like the young people do. And all they hear is the money part. And that's how most people end up getting scammed. Because it don't take money to get money. And you got to be able to think that in your mind to know it. That's just like now, they have this system where they call you, trying to pick up your voice, and they don't say anything on the other end.
Yep, just waiting on you. Just take a sample of your voice, try to remix it, and get somebody else.
You see, what I do is I switch my voice up. And my voice don't always be the same.
Yes, go ahead.
With the grandparents stuff, when that first started, I looked at the zip code, and I had family in there, and your oldest grandson needs money around the world, whatever. And that's how I picked up the phone when it was the area code. And then when he said, the oldest son needs grand money for blah, 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 blah. And I said, okay. I said, my oldest son is married. He has a wife, and you go to his wife, and then you come back to me. I had no idea this was a scam at that particular time. Then I learned later on about the scam. But when I said go to his wife first, then come back to me, then they hung up. I had that scam of the walking people in the mall, walking into me to hypnotize. I say they hypnotize. They gotta hypnotize if you listen to them and look in their eyes. I'm volunteer with the police department, so being aware of all that kind of stuff, I've been attacked by the walk-ins, once in the mall and once in Long Green on Dover Road. And we walked up and at Walgreens, we walked out to my car and began to talk about, you need to go back in and do some more shopping. Because I got some money, but you have to help me do the shopping. I said, just a minute, let me get my car and I'll come back with you. And then there'll be more shopping and all that. From the police station. In the mall, I was walking early in the morning. This man walked up. He had just found a lot of money and wanted to share it with me. You don't want to share it with me. Why you take it to your family? No, my family doesn't need it. When the store opened, then you and I can go in and do the shopping. I walked around with him and I said, okay, the stores are open now. You can go in and I'll be right in when I go back to my car and get my stuff. He went in and I went and got with the police department and report this scam was doing it. But they don't want to spend the money with nobody else but me. That lets me know that it's got to be something that you and I got to, is not right. Because most people don't take a lot of money to their family. Not to me. A stranger.
A stranger. Yes, go ahead.
I didn't hear most of what you said, but I just want to share. The other day I was on my computer, and when I was on my computer, it went off with everything. You must call this number, you must call this number. And of course I frantic when I heard all that, but my children teaching me, think before you do anything, Mom. So what I did, but let me tell you why. I was on the computer. When I was on the computer, a story came on saying in Port Orange, they were doing a development building and they found this a big snake underneath the development. And of course, my being curious, I'm here in Daytona with that big snake. That's in Australia somewhere, that big a snake. So I hit the button. And when I hit it, that's when it just went off, you know, just went crazy. And I remember my children. So I took and just snatched every plug. My son has a plug. I just snatched everything out. And I said, and it went off. But I was curious, what is all this going on? But I remember my computer man, I don't know anything about computers, so I just fooled around with it. He said, if anything ever happened, you always call me. He has something on my computer where I can punch in, and he goes in my computer and look at everything. So when it quiet down and I looked up, he said he was glad that I did what I did because one of his other customers had lost $34,000 that morning. And that was a scam, but I didn't get the red flag. All I saw was this big snake, and that was in Port Orange. So I'd say, let me see why the snake's so close to me. So you never, you know, really know what's going on, but curiosity got me in that. But I didn't lose anything. My computer man, I let him in on it after I plugged it back up. But he had to work me through on the telephone, not the computer, how to get the, you know, everything back into that, what you call that thing on, it's a, you put your sockets in.
Circuit protector.
Yeah, circuits, and my son got that on there. Yo, and he taught me through the telephone how to put all that back together. But he said I was blessed through that I didn't do any more on that computer. I could have gotten, you know, not curiosity got me into that, wanting to know that bigger snake near me. I want to know where they found him, where he come from. But curiosity, but thank God I was saved through that. I didn't hear everything, but I saw, recognize the red flags, and I thought I would share with, you know, the group sometime. Curiosity got me into that and could have got me into trouble, but I didn't.
Yes.
Yeah, last week about that story, when the people get out phone by the stone, no road. When the people get out phone, they put their cell phone out. I get my social security, they my social security, I get it to him. Now you get no cell phone.
Yeah, so he would just ask, he would just give you away cell phone.
Sunday, I got a phone call from that person, and he said, when you go send your payment? I said, I didn't order anything. He said, yes, you ordered, and it took us $700. I said, what? So I said, I didn't order anything. So he said, yes, you ordered, and I got all your information. I said, I know. Then he keep email me. So I take his things in here.
Thank you for sharing.
So what am I supposed to do?
I'll email them for you. It's in the stream. I want to call the police.
Do you guys want to continue and do lunch a few minutes late so they can finish up what they're doing? Or do you want to take a break and eat and then come back after lunch? Okay, let's go ahead and finish up.
Okay.
I had something similar to happen to me. I was coming out from Walmart there on Belmont, and this guy, he had this sentimental envelope, and he said, I just found this envelope full of money. He said, you want me to share with you? I say, no. I said, because it's not my money. He said, well, what am I gonna do? I said, go to the police department and give it to them.
Trying to get you roped up in somebody else's car. A lot of times they will.
And all was in there was paper anyway.
I have to believe that if you could share,
No, they won't get mine.
that's why I don't.
All right, so here are some few tips on staying safe. Always be skeptical of everything you do. Question unexpected offers, threats, or requests for money. Always verify the identity. Who's trying to get the information from you? Do you know that person? Are you expecting a person to call you? Can you speak louder? Yeah. Stay private about your information as well. Don't give out any sensitive information like your social security card to anybody who's asking for it, even if they pretend to be, let's say, someone who's working for the government. Do not give out your social security information.
I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about social security number, people, government. They ask people that they got to give it to me. And I was give that first. I give it. They said give me a phone over there, I didn't get it. I give my information.
Sometimes the bank has somebody call me, then unexpected take out his rent and of course and they will not do anything with it until I say something. And is most banks doing that now?
No. They don't call you. Turn around and call your bank and ask them, are they trying to get in touch with me? Is there a problem with my account? You never tell them over the telephone. You call your bank personally.
I did call my bank.
Yeah.
My bank was calling me. It was my bank
Well,
saying
just
such
then
and
you
such
talk to
thing
them.
had happened to my account. And they wanted to know that I okayed it. Was I?
But that's different.
I was grateful that they had done that, but because it was something that I didn't want paid out of my account. But you have to, I guess you have to really sign up for that kind of protection.
Another tip to stay safe is to secure your account, like using a password that only you would know, and use a two-factor authentication, which would be like, okay, I'm gonna log in, and they'll send you an email as if you're trying to log in from like interview, official email from, it'll say blah 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 at whatever. Report suspicious activity. If somebody's continuously calling you, you keep getting phone calls about people asking for money or your social or sensitive information or things like that, just report it. Report it as scam. Delete the text message. Report it as scam. Report the phone number, or even go to the police station if you have to, if it's that serious. Also, just take a minute and take a breather and reflect on the phone call. A lot of times the scammers will use urgency. You have to do it now. But just take a deep breath. What was your name? What do you want? It don't sound like me, I'm gonna hang up, or I'm gonna call you right back. A lot of times if you hang up, or if you say that, they'll hang up on you because they are able to know that you recognize that it's a scam and they don't have anything real to offer you. All right, so next up we want to give the floor to our professor, Caputo. He'll be doing a presentation on artificial intelligence.
All right, good morning, folks. My name is Professor Ray Caputo. I've taught Bethune-Cookman for the past 15 years. I'm a broadcast production/journalism professor. But also during that time, I was also a news reporter, local news reporter in Orlando. And I covered all different types of stories. Some of the really, really worst stories, the worst of the worst. And then on top of that, because so much happens in Central Florida, when some of these cases became national, I would be doing a lot of television hits for Fox Nation, HLN. So I have seen the intersection of technology and crime over the past 15 years, and it's both scary and fascinating. I'm here, you heard the young ladies talking about one specific type of scam, the ones involving voices, and I'm really happy to elaborate on it because you guys are the primary targets, or at least you were. They started as something called grandparent scams. And just as the young lady suggested, they can sample your voice by only 3 seconds. In theory, you would rack your brain to try to figure out how to protect yourself because it's really difficult. Somebody could stand up behind you. Somebody could be recording you asking a question right now and take that audio. And it's so incredibly easy. So one of the first keys to stopping these sorts of things is just general awareness. Having this be a possibility in your head that this scam is happening. And let me tell you, before I get into the other stuff, there is a fine line. You don't want to be so untrustworthy that it hinders your everyday life, but awareness can go a very, very long way. So we're going to talk about AI scams. So what's the big deal with AI? New technologies can be used for both good and bad. And since we've been inventing technologies, you know, these chairs you're sitting on, I kind of joke to my students sometimes that somebody invented a chair and probably not long after somebody figured out that you can pick up a chair and hit somebody with it. So all of our technologies, from cars to electricity, when new things come out, people are going to use them well, and there's going to be people that are going to find ways to scam them. And so here we have this new technology, artificial intelligence, and everybody says how fascinating it is. It really is fascinating. It can do things. It's like, some people equate it to robots, like it's going to replace us, but it's more like an Iron Man suit. It allows you to do things you couldn't do. I'm going to show you me speaking in another language before the end of this. It's absolutely incredible. But the other side of that, again, is that folks are finding different ways to abuse this technology. Next slide. So right here, this is going to take about 5 minutes. I'm going to skip through this, but about a year ago, Senator John Ossoff from Georgia, the Democratic senator, gave a passionate speech on the House floor about this technology. And what he basically said, a 5-minute video, I'll summarize it. He says that these new technologies, again, they have great promise, but they have the ability to upend the fabric of how we live. Okay? So our government regulators are watching this, and they're on board with trying to find ways to regulate this and protect you. Next slide. So how does voice-generated AI work? This is the hard part, is that it's so simple. Anybody can take a sample of your voice. Next slide. This right here is a program that I use called 11 Labs. Anybody in this room with $20 in a credit card can get a subscription to this program. In fact, there's a free version of it. And all you do, like I said, you get a recording of your voice. It might sound complicated, but it's really not. In fact, every one of our smartphones has a voice recorder on it. You could hold it up to somebody's voice. If you're a little bit more tech savvy, there's ways to get this stuff off social media. I can assure you it's not hard. You take that sample and you just click this button, add voice, and you put it in. And I first started using this technology in a good way. Now, Bethune-Cookman University has been around since 1904. Mary McLeod Bethune passed away in the 1950s. I was trying to do some work about Mary McLeod Bethune, but I don't have many voice samples. I don't know what she sounds like. And I was able to find a sample, and I then took that voice sample, put it into this program, and I have, lo and behold, Mary McLeod Bethune reading her own letters now. And that's a great application of technology. It was so easy for me to do, but on the other end of that, there's also scammers and stuff. Okay, so good and bad with new technology. Next slide. So voice-generated AI is easy to use, and that is leading to some bad things. We're going to talk about the bad. Scam ransom phone calls. They call them grandparent scams. Now, many of you have grandchildren, you have children, you have people on social media. You might even have social media yourself. Again, anybody can get those voices, and they use that voice, and they'll call you. First thing to think about, is there something off? Use your intuition. You know these voices. The scary part is that they can trick you. They've tricked mothers and fathers and all kinds of people. That's not out of the ordinary, but is this something that sparks your intuition and shows you that this is not something real? Trust your instincts. Unauthorized use of content. Now, anybody in this room, a former recording star, or had a big past career singing on stage somewhere, probably not one of your biggest concerns, but we are starting to see people like singers and stuff, if they can take your voice, I'm going to show you some videos in a second. Any artist that you've ever heard that has, like the Beach Boys or a Motown artist, there's young people now that are putting this stuff on the internet and just changing the songs and having your favorite Motown artist sing. It's kind of fun, but it also can cause problems if you own this content. You are no longer the owner of your voice. And it is people sitting in this room right now, I don't think you have to worry about that, but if you do become famous in any regard, your voice is now out there. That's kind of a scary thing. Again, it's not so much the target of our conversation today, but it's something to think about. And lastly, this is something you should worry about, is misinformation. About a year ago, there was a famous robocall that went out, and this is not a political statement, just something that it does impact voting. It was Joe Biden telling primary voters not to go out and vote in New Hampshire. It sounded just like Joe Biden with all his stutters and all his nuances. It was Joe Biden. And it told people not to go out and vote. Right after that, the FCC jumped on it, and now robocalls using AI are banned. But I would, if I was a betting man, I'd say that's not the last time that somebody's going to try to do that. So this is really fun. Is there any way we could click on each of these? Now, y'all know Elvis Presley, I'm sure. But anybody ever heard of a guy named Sir Mix-a-Lot? He had a famous song called Baby Got Back. If you've been to a wedding or if you've listened on the radio, this is a hip-hop song. But what somebody did was took Elvis's voice and took the lyrics to Sir Mix-a-Lot. I just want you, this is a little music, but I want you to hear the power of this technology.
Oh, while I gave like Santa cannot lie, you're all the brothers that can't deny. And when a girl walks in with that itty bitty stand around in your face, you get sprung, you get sprung, you get sprung. And deep in the jeans she's wearing, I look and I can't stop staring.
All right, let's try this one. Now, any Beach Boys fans in the room? You might never be the same after hearing this one. This is the Beach Boys with a guy named Flo Rida. He's singing a very popular song called Get Low. Oh, we gotta go back.
Low, shawty got low, yeah. Low, shawty got low. She hit the floor, shawty got low. Low, shawty got low.
All right, one more. I'm gonna skip the last one, but this one right here. Any of y'all have any grandkids or great-grandkids that like SpongeBob SquarePants?
Yeah.
Right. It's a very popular character, right? I think that there's people with too much time on their hands, clearly, but somebody did this right here. This is Adele and a character, I think it's Squidward from SpongeBob. So, you can see the power of this technology. You can have fun with it, and there are people that are clearly having a little too much fun with it, but what we're trying to focus on is how this stuff is being used for that. So next slide here. So, I do not speak Spanish. I do not speak Mandarin. I wish I spoke Italian, and I speak a very little French right here, okay? But can you click on any one of those? This is my voice sample.
Mi nombre es Ray Caputo y soy un periodista de radiodifusión semi-jubilado y actual profesor de práctica en la Universidad Bethune-Cookman en Daytona Beach.
All right, so that's the power of this technology, the quick voice sample to change your voice and make you say anything, for better or worse. This is something that I think the biggest thing you'll have to worry about is somebody that you know that sounds just like them, acting a little strange on the phone, asking you for money in the sense of urgency. All the things the ladies were talking about, but with a voice of a familiar person. So just understand now, folks, that this is a possibility. And when you understand that it's a possibility, that is the first line of defense. One more slide here. A couple more, actually. This is just the Joe Biden. Let's play this. This is the Joe Biden robocall. This is not Joe Biden's real voice. But just
so much of malarkey. You know the value of voting Democratic when our votes count. It's important that you save your vote for the November election. We'll need your help in electing Democrats up and down the ticket. Voting this Tuesday only enables the...
So again, that's the voice of the president telling people to not vote in the primaries. It's scary stuff if we do not properly regulate that. And that's really beyond the control of this room. It's the folks that are in charge. They are hearing a lot about this, and I think that they are doing the right things. They are understanding the different problems, but we got a little bit of a ways to go.
Question.
Yes.
I just want to know, with all the advancement of AI, have they been able to get phone numbers? Because like, I don't answer the phone unless it's a number I know.
You know, it makes you, like, we can actually fly these rocket ships. You see them every once in a while going to the moon. We can do incredible things, and they still have not figured that problem out. It is costing a lot of money. I read somewhere that people are, it's called swatting. And in fact, at the very end of this podcast series, I have a QR code. You can hold your phone up to it. It's going to link to my 8-part podcast series where I talk about 15 minutes per episode about different types of scams, including AI. Well, you're talking about swatting, and you hear it in the news now. What young people are doing mainly is they're on video games and they use different applications that hide their numbers, and it can look like it's coming from this area code. In essence, it might be somebody in a library in California using Wi-Fi. And they cause all kinds of terror, bomb threats, they scam people in many different ways. We just had a young boy who was, they don't typically do this to young kids, but he was a younger kid, and they perp walked him, if you know what that is. When the police hold them and they have all the cameras, they wanted to make a statement because he was caught swatting. Swatting is dangerous. There are people who've actually died. There was a case where a guy was playing a video game and got into a fight, and the other guy told him a fake address, and somebody swatted that address, and the cops came. An innocent guy came out, and he raised his hands, but for a second lowered his hands, and he was shot. And that's a tragic situation. I don't blame the police. They're going on this information that there's this mass murder, and they're all tense, and then this poor guy. But that's swatting for you. Now, the million-dollar question is, why have we not fixed this? I think conversations like this take small steps in building an awareness, because the folks that are in charge do have the ability to make this technology work better. But when you're a monopoly like AT&T or T-Mobile, and there's only a few companies, they don't really change, the way other companies do. The competition doesn't work the same way. So I'll tell you what, if you ever talk to any of your local legislators, you ever have the sheriff come in and talk to y'all, that's something to certainly bring up. Why are these companies not doing that? Because our cell phones and our phone technology have been around for like 100 years. Like, we should have fixed this problem by now. But the last, well, hang on, let's skip to the last slide real quick, and then we'll go back to this one. Okay. So since we're talking about technology, I don't know if any of you folks have ever used a QR code. I just started using them, and they're pretty easy to do. You point your phone up to that, and it will take you, like your camera will come up, and you press the button, it'll take you right to this website. And I have 8 episodes. I have an episode about AI, which we just talked about. I tell you a real case of a mother who got tricked by her own daughter. Incredible that we know our kids, we know our family members. And she was in a frantic, she was ready to wire $50,000 to somebody because she thought her daughter was kidnapped. There's an episode about swatting, which we talked about, using fake numbers to call things in. Online romance scams. A lot of people are online now, even older people, trying to meet folks. I saw a graphic, and it saw how people meet one another. Nowadays, I think 60% of people of all ages
What do you call that?
This is called a QR code. What you do is you get your camera up, just like you're taking a picture, and you point it at. And when you point it at,
my doctor wanted me to do that because to check in before I get home.
Should we do that now?
if you would all like, this is going to be the last slide up there. And in fact, the slide before that, I've sort of peppered in the ways to stay safe, so I don't really think we need to cover that. But I'll tell you, the biggest way to stay safe is just awareness, because if you really try to protect yourself, sometimes you overcorrect, like car accidents where you turn, but then you turn too far back and you go off the road. Don't overcorrect. You can't let this stuff make you lose your balance, make you not talk to people, make you not live your life, but also you need to be vigilant as well. And the best thing to do is to understand it and trust yourself.
You don't have to click your phone on anything.
If you point it at it, once you point at it, there's a little website that's going to come up in your phone, and if you click on it, this is where it's going to take you. It takes you to this website, and it has all of the 8 different podcasts.
That's what the doctor's office came up, and they wanted me to check in before I got there.
It's a pretty easy technology. Some of these new technologies, like a remote control, can come out. My poor mother's 81 years old, can't use a TV anymore because she can't figure the remote out. but she knows how to use Alexa.
That's me.
But she knows how to use Alexa, and this is this is an easy technology. This isn't something that would scare you away. So if you see these QR, you might even see them on a restaurant table. Now, since we're talking about scams, where's Dr. Victor? I don't want to throw you off, but people are even using these QR codes to scam, so you just gotta trust your instincts. You know, back in the day, if you saw somebody that looked a little suspicious, might cross the other side of the street, use that same instinct online, folks. You got it in you, I know that.
So like if you look over here on the cruise that we're doing, the casino cruise, there's a QR code on it. You can scan that. It'll take you to a website where you can pay for that cruise instead of bringing cash into me or.
Okay, so you keep it, well, there's a bookmark.
They
How about
say,
this?
hello,
If you texted it to
but take
yourself,
my name off your
find
list.
your text easier. And then you're gonna text it to yourself. What's your name or your number? Is that you?
No.
I want you to send it to yourself so that you can see it. So
Mr. G, that big snake that was
I said,
I think it's easier to
and they were doing,
Oh, 1 second though, and I'm gonna wrap up for the sake of time. I will bring over a little piece of paper with that on, and hopefully we can hang it up on the wall, so anytime you're in here, you can see that. And I pride myself on trying to make this stuff entertaining, so you might, if you ever watch those crime shows on TV, I kind of got that pedigree. I used to be on with Nancy Grace a lot. So I promise it'll be semi-entertaining too, and you'll remember that. It'll be a memorable type of thing. So thank you very much.